Well, ladies and gentlemen, the time has finally come. I am very excited to announce that today, on the exact date being the 6th of October 2025, we put in our very first ever house offer. And we went 10 grand under asking price for the first offer. And obviously the seller said no, because this is just testing the waters. This is things you'll come to learn when you're buying a house. You throw in a 10 grand less offer just to get them to nibble, and then you talk business. So they were like, no, in the past I was offered like 9-10 grand cheaper than asking and I didn't go for it. So that's just how you dip your toe in the water, basically, show them that you're ready to play ball. And then we hit them with a 7 grand less. So £7,000 under the asking price. And now we wait again. We wait for the new outcome. So this is where we get into the end game of it now, ladies and gentlemen. This is where it gets interesting, because we're just going to do a little bit of a dance, basically. That's what you do. You do a little bit of a dance back and forth. You versus them, and until one of you bows out, ultimately. But we're in a good position, because me and Helen can afford to pay, because we got our decision in principle, and because of our contracts at work and stuff, and our deposit we saved, we are able to easily, if we needed it desperately to do it, we could just buy it for the full asking price and still have change in the pocket. So we'd be absolutely fine just paying a full asking price. But when we went after the second viewing and we loved it again, and we went and we spoke to our mortgage woman, Helen spoke to our mortgage lady, and the mortgage lady said, well, yeah, now it's time to play ball. Now it's time to tackle. And let's just see what we can make happen. So the power is back in the hands of the mortgage people. Offer 1 went in. Obviously wasn't going to get accepted. We had no ideas of fancy that was ever going to get accepted. 10 grand under your asking price is kind of wild. So the haggling has begun. It is now time to do the wheeling and the dealing, and we're going to keep our fingers and toes and everything else crossed as best as we can, and for as long as we can, until we arrive at an outcome. But this person is desperate to sell. Him and his girlfriend have been living apart, very similar to me and Helen. They've been living apart for so long, and they want to sell up and move in together somewhere brand new. I believe it might be a new build that they're trying to acquire, which are very expensive. So he needs to sell his property, she needs to sell her property, so that couple B, so that's the person selling the house and his girlfriend, and couple A, being Helen and me, you know, we're all working with each other, really, because they need to sell their properties to get their new build together, and me and Helen need the guy to sell his house so we can move into his house together. So it's a win-win for all four of us. And then obviously their seller mortgage people will be happy, our mortgage people will be happy. We are basically waiting to get to the point where we hand over to the solicitors, whether the solicitors be people that we know through family and friends, or whether they be solicitors who have been recommended for our tremendous mortgage advisor lady. So at the moment, we're waiting to hand over to the solicitors, because technically speaking, once the solicitors, once your final offer's been accepted, and it goes to your quality surveyor or quantity surveyor, and then it goes to your mortgage team, and then it goes to your solicitors. Once it lands at the solicitors, it's kind of, the power's gone then. You kind of have to give up control of the situation fully and let the soliciting teams finish up everything. And it's like a 12-week long process, so it's like you're talking 3 months. It's a long time, and at that point, you as the buyer or the seller can't really do much. You guys have just basically given the power over to these people whose jobs it is to finish the contract off and finish it all up. So we're at the start of the end game. Helen has found this house and is head over heels with it, and I love to see her happy in that house. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing about that house I don't personally like, but it definitely was the first ever house we went into that it really, ticked every single one of Helen's requirements and then some. And we've been back multiple times now. We've had those visits, we've done our research, boots on ground research and recon of the area and stuff, and it seems to be stellar for what we need it to be, which is just a nice little 2-bedroom cozy house for our starter home, and with the potential to turn it into a very, very, very cool piece of equipment and a very cool setup. So we will just now wait, but the business discussions have begun, which I'm very excited about, and I'm very proud of Helen for doing that, because she already works a very stressful job. and she manages to use the 1 day a week we have off to kind of really get business dealt with. And I do the driving and I do the maneuvering, but Helen does all the business end of stuff, and we work really well as that partnership to get that stuff done. So I'm very proud of all the hard work she's putting in, and it could not be said that I could be any prouder of us. For two kids who met in high school, who survived going to sixth form, college, university graduations, COVID, world-ending, pausing pandemics, and then being separated for the last 3 years, has been incredibly difficult. And we try and make the time to see each other as very often as we can possibly make it. But obviously when we both wake up at 6 a.m. every morning, and we both go to work for multiple hours of the day, and we don't really get to see each other until sort of 5, 6 o'clock in the evenings, it's a very difficult way to have a relationship. I mean, I couldn't do long distance. I see people who do long distance, and I literally, my heart bleeds for them, because I don't know how they manage that. When you're in different time zones than each other, I don't know how you guys do it. But it's been difficult because we lived together for 3 years. We really enjoyed it. We had a great time. And then obviously we went back to living with parents to save money and get jobs and save up for this house project. And after 3 years of what's been quite difficult, especially for me, I can only, obviously in this perspective, I can talk about myself and how I personally feel, but it was really difficult not getting to wake up and see that person you're used to being around, and living with them for 3 years and having the best 3 years of your life, and then not seeing them every morning and not waking up to them, not making them breakfast, not getting to cook them tea, go for walks in an evening, just chill and watch something. Like, our Saturdays and Sundays are so stressful because I pick Helen up, she finishes a bit after me. I pick Helen up on a Friday evening after work finishes for her, and then like a timer starts, and it's like every second is counted, and every second counts, because if you make a mistake or if something goes wrong, you really only got like technically 2 full days. If you can call Sunday a full day, it don't really matter. I don't think you can technically, but with Saturday, it's our like only full window of time that we get. Obviously, some of that spent like sleeping and eating and stuff, so it's like the timer's on. Like, the minute I pick her up from work, a countdown clock goes on in my head, and I just don't like that feeling. I want to be able to enjoy spending time with my partner and not being stressed about how little time we actually get to spend doing meaningful tasks. Because like some days I'll pick her up from her house, or from work, to take her back to her house, and I'll sit and edit some videos if I've got footage on my phone. But ultimately, like, I'll like research video ideas and stuff. But ultimately, most of the days of the week, if I pick her up, I'm like sat next to her while she's doing some work on a laptop in her mum and dad's living room. And we might put something, we watch like maybe the quiz shows are on the telly or something like that, or sometimes in the week I have my tea with them and stuff. So it's not nice then having to go back to separate places, because then it doesn't feel like you're a couple. It feels like you're just two friends hanging out, and that's not the nice feeling that you want from a relationship. That independence and that sense of security of knowing you've got your own place and you've got your own life and you're doing your own things and enjoying being an adult relationship. Because like I say, we met as teenagers, where obviously going back home to, you meet up in school, you might chat at lunch and break or whatever, and then you might walk each other to the bus stop or whatever you choose to do. But it would be normal for people of that age to obviously see each other a bit in the day at school, and then obviously go back home to separate parents' houses, because that's normal. That's what teenagers would do and what kids would do. But when you're like 25, like I'm 25 so soon, and if I live to be 100, if I'm lucky enough to live to be 100, that's a quarter of my life gone. And I want to say that I spent my life doing stuff that made me happy rather than sacrifice, because at the moment we've both been sacrificing so much quality time and getting to do proper relationship things because we're separated. But there's that literal separation there, and that's hard. It's really hard when you want to see a future with that person and you want to make a future with that person. To do it from separate postcodes is not an easy task, and it's not nice to have to experience that, basically. And this is why, one of the many reasons why this house project is so important, because it will actually be the start of what will be a proper adult relationship, getting to spend that quality time together, getting to see each other in the evenings for the real reasons, instead of like having to sandwich them in like we do. Like, it's just a tricky one, but we're getting there. And like I say, getting into the stage of talks now about the mortgage situation and finally getting those offers in is a big key step, and I'm really proud of us, because for two little younguns who met at high school, we've not done too bad. We've not done too bad. Sure, we haven't gone abroad and we haven't gone to Dubai and Australia and all that stuff other people do, but all power to them. If they can do it, then let them do it. But ultimately, for me and Helen, that was not on the cards for us. So, given the cards we've been dealt, I think we're doing the right thing, and I'm confident that we're going to find this to be a really good learning experience. And obviously then we can offer help to you guys on the internet who've got questions about being first-time buyers in the UK, and we can help friends who haven't moved out yet and things like that. So it's going through the motions right now, but we are going to get there in the end, and there'll be a whole documented series to review it, so that's kind of nice too. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. I'm waiting for Helen at the moment, and when she's out later, we might find out a bit later on. If so, I'll do a different video about the results, but I'll keep you guys posted like I always do, and I'll keep you guys in the loop about the future of what this house decision's going to end up with. So offer 1 was put out there, offer 2 has now been put out there, now we just have to wait. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Peace.